Is This Thing On? Is This Thing On is the movie that Marriage Story wanted to be. Now, why do I say this? Well, it's hard not to compare these two very prevalent films about divorce. But I think Marriage Story thrives in these loud moments. The fights, the tantrums, the tears, the anger, and knowing it's a semi-autobiographical work, when I come back to the film, I can't help but feel that it's a wish fulfillment piece. It feels like the movie is saying, this is everything I wish I could have said to my bitch ex-wife. And it creates these Reddit situations where it expects everyone to stand and clap at these mic drop moments. There are no mic drop moments in Is This Thing On. Where the former lives in the intensity, Is This Thing On lives in the silence that comes after a tragedy, the loneliness that follows a loss, the weight of holding love and having nowhere to put it. There's a lot of silence in this film, a lot of moments where nothing is said, but in these silences, there is still so much weight. There is not an unpregnant pause in this movie. Will Arnett and Laura Dern do not waste a second on screen. Every single time they are on screen, they are going through something, and you can't help but lean into their entire performance. What I think this film does best, and what I think it was trying to do, is it highlights the reverence that you have for a partner in a truly healthy relationship, even after the loss of them. Again, it's hard not to compare this to Marriage Story, because instead of saying, every day I wake up and I wish you were dead, Is This Thing On reaffirms that you never stop loving the people you love, the people that you've built your life with, even when you fall out of love with them, and even when you hate them. At every possible opportunity, Will Arnett's character Alex speaks very highly of Tess, Laura Dern's character, his ex-wife. The two struggle to move on from each other, because despite outgrowing each other, there are still two people that love each other, or at least loved each other. For Alex, these complex feelings manifest themselves in a need for catharsis, but with a lack of support from his friends, he turns to divulging these secrets to strangers through the lens of stand-up comedy. What I think is so telling about what this story is trying to say, though, is that nothing Alex ever says about Tess is negative. Where many people think a recent divorcee's stand-up comedy repertoire would include bitter, vitriolic things that never got said, case in point Marriage Story, Alex reckons with loss through comedy, as so many of us do. And the fact that this woman, whom he loved, whom he built his life with, formed his identity with, had children with, is not the same person in his life that she once was, creates this awkward sense of pain that gives way to genuinely entertaining comedy. This idea is cemented when Tess happens into the Comedy Cellar while Alex is performing. At first, she's appalled that Alex would dare sharing such intimate things about their life, but eventually, she finds the levity in it. Alex is perhaps airing out their dirty laundry, sure, but he's never blaming her for the dirt. In fact, it is when Tess finds out this truth about Alex that he's been coping through stand-up comedy that we're launched into the third act of the movie, which takes a break from comedy entirely. No longer does he need an outlet for this catharsis because he can bring it directly to Tess. In the third act of the movie, the two start dating again in secret, which make things a little bit complicated when they go on vacation with all their friends who think they're still separated. During this vacation, the two find these moments to sneak off and be with each other and rekindle their flame long since snuffed out by time and mundanity. However, all of this running away together comes to a head when Alex and Tess reckon with each other's reasons for wanting a divorce. And they have this essentially almost 20-minute long couples therapy scene in their bedroom, and the only word that I could use to describe it is chewy. There is so much to think about and discuss in this scene alone. What's beautiful here is that each of them air out their own grievances with each other in an open, non-judgmental way, and they recognize their own faults and shortcomings, and I was eating this up. This is what I live for in storytelling: nuanced discussions of love and loss and miscommunication and misunderstandings and anger when it's no one's fault. Because in real life, people hurt each other and they seldom mean to. Relationships are messy, breakups are hard, and everyone has faults. For me, this scene, and by extension this entire film, culminates in Alex showing Tess this picture of his wife that he had blown up and put up in his apartment. A picture of her in her prime, playing volleyball at the Olympics, faced away from the camera as she's about to spike a volleyball into the other team. But Tess sees this gesture. She understands that it was intended to be romantic and reverent. But all she can say is, "That's not me." And Alex, confused, responds, "Yeah, it is." Let's just sit with that for a moment, shall we? Tess sees this picture as a reminder of her shortcomings, the woman that she used to be but can't see herself as anymore. She looks at that picture and she sees the idealized image of herself that her husband still has, a woman that she believes is long gone, a fantasy Alex is still holding on to. And maybe she's right. Maybe that woman doesn't exist anymore. Maybe she's outgrown that woman. But in her mind, she thinks that makes her less than. Alex, on the other hand, never stops viewing her as this superhuman athlete. He still carries such a reverence and love and respect for her. He still looks at Tess like she's in the prime of her life, something that she believes she left years ago. What a beautiful, heartbreaking exchange. Because they're both right. Tess is grieving this woman, that Alex doesn't think ever left. And what all of this makes them realize is that there is so much still unresolved, emotions that they have about themselves and each other, both positive and negative, and this pressure cooker launches Alex into a scene where for the first time in the movie, he lets out his frustration. He indulges that anger and nihilism that he's been holding on to this whole time, but he doesn't stay there. If you're familiar with Will Arnett's work, it is peak Will Arnett. It's very BoJack, it's very pent up, it's very sad, it's very angry, but at the end of the day, it comes with a realization after the dust settles that you cannot stay in this place of negativity. You cannot continue to romanticize an unhealthy mindset, as good as it may feel to indulge. And so almost immediately after this, he has the final epiphany of the movie. He puts a new photo of Tess on his wall, a recent photo of her, facing the camera, completely candid. She's frowning in it. He runs to her, shows her this, and confesses that he wasn't unhappy with their marriage. He was unhappy in their marriage. They both were. They were both unhappy independent of each other. And now that they know this, why not try again? And Tess just says she'll think about it. And the film leaves you there. Why not try again? Is This Thing On is a story that has something to say about love and loss from a place of reverence. A story that holds the honesty of relationships and the exposing nature of love at the forefront of its message. And I think it's a beautiful exploration of real and healthy relationships that will only become more applicable as you go through life. The more you love, the more you lose, and the more you continue to care about others. Because this is what real love looks like. This is what real heartbreak, breakups, and divorce looks like. This is what real life looks like. Because to paraphrase Bo Burnham,
all deserve love. It's the very best part of being alive. And
I would know I'm almost
just turned
25. Thank you so much. Go watch the movie.